Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today, all of the Isle's designs are at our mercy. So, sit back, get some popcorn, and enjoy the show. I'm also joined with a very wonderful guest today. Please introduce yourself, good sir.
Greetings everyone, the name's Anicronyx, a famous, or yet to be famous animator, making some juicy Isle content for every one of y'all.
Yes, okay. So, I guess we should just get right into it then. Starting with my beloved Acrocanthosaurus.
Oh, the chunker.
The chunker. So, I personally think Acro is a very good design. I think it's interesting. But I'm not too sure about gameplay. It looks kind of... eh.
Yeah, personally I also like the chunkiness of the boy.
Yes.
But, indeed, it might be very sluggish.
Indeed.
Which I don't know how is gonna work well with other playables.
Yeah, it's gonna be an event. So,
Yeah.
I would say Acro could sit at a very comfortable B tier.
I very much agree with that. Although the design is beautiful
It really
and
is.
very well represented, the gameplay might be lacking then.
Exactly. Next up, we have the tragedy that is Albertosaurus and its redesign. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Small T-Rex.
Yes.
And child abuser.
Yes. Just my issue with Alberto, with the gameplay aside, is that Legacy had, I think, a perfect rendition of it. It was realistic.
Yeah.
It still had that Isle charm to it, but then they took that, made it really grotesque looking, and then made its head way too big for no reason.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how to feel about it either. And let us not forget, nesting is almost something that is never utilized. So even if there are babies, they're gonna be treated horribly, which is just not fun.
Not at all. I would say Alberto is the Isle designs at its worst, so I would pop it in F tier.
Yeah, just all the way down.
Yes. Okay, next up we have Allo, which is, I mean, I think a very iconic
Everyone's
design.
favorite.
Yes. And, I think even if people have a lot to say about the Allo players, I personally think it's a pretty harmless design overall.
Yeah. And I have a little birdie once told me that it would be getting the ambush from Legacy into his kit.
Yes.
So
That'd be quite cool.
that is quite fun, I believe.
Yes. I feel like Allo, just from a design standpoint, is kind of perfect. Like, I don't think I would change anything about it.
Me neither, personally. The model is good, the gameplay seems good, the size even seems good, so I'd say yes.
Exactly. We've got a tier for good.
Yes.
Okay, this one's a pretty divisive one. We've got Anky.
Anky. I liked Ankylosaurus in Legacy.
Me too.
Where he was just one big bonehead. And bone back and bone tail. And here in Evrima, I like what they were going for. Like, make him more mobile, more realistic, that he can actually move his back. Because I do gotta admit, in Legacy, it didn't look like he could bend his back in any way.
Yep.
But yeah, it looks odd.
It does. I don't know if I hate it or if I think it's just fine, because I don't have anything against the idea of it. But I think it's the wrong dinosaur to try it out on.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And just the gameplay worries me, because Anky was already barely good enough as it was. And now they've kind of just shrunk it and made it weaker. So I'm not really sure how that's gonna go.
I mean, I kind of see it like this, right? The smaller ones have no chance against it whatsoever, but the big ones can just snap its neck.
Yes, pretty much. So I feel like Anky is the perfect C tier.
Yeah, like, I absolutely don't hate it. I like what they were going for, but no.
No. Alright.
No.
Next one is something that might not even come to the game. I believe this is a Pachycephalosaurus.
A Pachycephalosaurus.
Now, I think the design looks cool. However, I think a Pachycephalosaurus is... I don't know how they could make that work, to be honest.
Like, I'm also gonna be honest, I had no idea that it even existed.
That's fair. It's either a Pachycephalosaurus or Diplodocus, but it looks too fat to be a Diplodocus.
The Diplodocus looks a little more slim.
Yeah. I will say...
Especially a whip-like tail, so...
Yes. I will say that, as far as the massive dinosaurs go, Pachycephalosaurus is a little less harmless than Brachio, because it's not huge, but it's also just a sauropod, and I don't think any sauropod can be all that good in a dinosaur game.
Yeah. Like, they actually have to have something unique about them, and I can't come up with something for a Pado.
Exactly. So. Like, I think other games I would be more optimistic, but I don't think the Isle could really pull it off, to be honest. So I think...
No, me neither.
I think it's, like, fine sitting in B tier, because it's pretty harmless. Like, sure, even if you have it in the game, it's not gonna, like, affect anyone. So it's, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, next up,
who do we have here? Austroraptor.
I think Austro is the epitome of a good design, because it immediately communicates to you what it's good at and what it's supposed to be, while also staying at least like somewhat true to the scientific like accuracy part of it.
Oh yeah.
And I also just think it looks cool.
Yeah, exactly. In Legacy, that was my favorite playable. Like, I remember when I was a wee little boy, I used to watch the Gaming Beaver. Oh, wonderful channel, by the way.
Yes.
His Austroraptor gameplay got me hooked on the Isle. Now I have a special little bond with Austro, because I am very happy that it's now on the roster, on soon to come. So,
yes, very soon.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would say, honestly, Austro could be our first S tier.
I believe I believe so too.
Alrighty. Next up, we have our favorite little devil, Dibble.
No, that's Avaceratops.
Oh, that is Avacer. Oh my gosh. I knew that wasn't Dibble, but I was like, what else could it be? But I forgot there's 8 bajillion Ceratopsians in the Isle.
I mean, yeah, but this one was in Legacy the English. That was the NPC you would hear the most.
Yeah, it is. I feel like Ava, it's fine. Its concept art looks kind of like fine.
Yeah,
I
don't know. It was portrayed to be a very aggressive little being, so...
No, exactly.
I mean, they invade burrows, I believe. They chase humans, they bite things. Seems pretty aggressive to me.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, I think it would be fine if it stayed an AI, you know?
Exactly.
Because, like, we have Protoceratops right there.
Yeah, it's... My issue with Ava is... I think Protoceratops is just a cooler version of it.
Yeah.
And
I've always liked Protoceratops, not just like in the Isle, but just in general.
Of course.
Especially that one fossil where it's like fighting with a Velociraptor.
Exactly. And it's so much more iconic. And sure, Ava was in Legacy, but it was just an AI, and I don't think anyone will forget the noises it made that signaled that you might actually have a chance of survival. But past that, I don't think anyone's all that attached.
Yeah. Every time I hear Ava, I can hear his sound in the distance somewhere. Calling out for me.
Yep. I feel like it's a
it's
a C tier. It's whatever.
Yeah. As a playable in C, as an AI, I'd say A.
Yes, I'd say S tier. There's nothing better than an A.
Yeah, but I'd say A because that mother flipper almost got me killed a few times.
The next one, I am gonna need you to catch my bias and put me in my place if you need to. But Baryonyx is my favorite playable in the Isle. And I think the Evrima version
made a video
will be
about
better. I have, actually, I just did.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't know if anyone noticed just yet, but my profile picture is also a Baryonyx, but with spikes. It's edgy and stupid. So,
It's stupid.
I'm also quite biased towards my boy Barry. He's not my favorite, but I love him.
That's fair. I feel like if
Cooler than Spino, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. I think Baryonyx is kind of like Austro in the sense where it does everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And I can't even think of anything I'd change. Like, at least on Austro, I think it's got some things that could be tweaked. Like, I think its beak is, like, maybe a little too crazy. Its feathers are kind of wonky. But, like...
Personally, I like that, but...
Yeah, that's fair. But I just feel like Baryonyx, there's nothing you can really do to it that would make it any better.
Yeah, in fact, if you would change anything, it would get worse.
Exactly. I just think it strikes that perfect balance between, like, realism and, like, the Isle charm, which does exist. It just, they kind of forget about it half the time. So I would personally plop it.
Yep. Stop talking. Up in S. Come on.
Next we have our favorite murder goose, Bipey.
Oh, yes. Michael.
So,
Michael.
I think Michael is, it's fine. I think the issue with just all small tiers is that after the first, like, week or so of playing it, you kind of realize there's nothing you can do. However...
To be fair, yeah.
I would say Bipey, out of all of the small tiers, is one of the best, because it's quite capable of defending itself, at least from the other small tiers, and it has a lot to do.
Yeah, it can fish, it can jump, it can dolphin dive, which is my favorite thing to do.
And I quite love the design. Obviously it's nothing like it.
I adore it.
Even though it's absolutely not at all a Brachiosaurus, I still think it's good, and I don't think it has to be realistic, really, for it to be a good design. So honestly, I might be going.
For me personally, I'd put it in A.
Yeah, I'm gonna go against my small tier bias, and I'm gonna put it in A as well.
Yeah.
So,
because like it has a lot to do, but at the end of the day, it's still small. So
yeah, exactly. Now, Brachie, we don't even have concept art for it, but I already have an idea.
We do not know what it's gonna do.
No,
nothing.
Probably nothing. So, and honestly, I like Puerto more. Like, I think it's a more interesting dinosaur. I thought the model for it was actually pretty good. It's just Brachie, it doesn't really have anything going for it, I don't think. And even if they do make a cool design, it's still a sauropod.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Like, as a playable, I think wouldn't really be interesting, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But as AI, I think it would be fantastic.
That's true for atmosphere.
Purely for the atmosphere. Like, you can see like a big Brachiosaur in the distance. That's enough for me. That's enough for me.
Yeah. And so I think if we're giving it the same treatment as a Pato, it would be only fair to put it in B tier.
Correct.
Okay, next up.
F for gameplay, S for NPC.
Exactly, right in the middle.
Yeah.
So, we have Carno.
Bane of my existence.
Oh gosh, we're gonna get a lot of hate from this. Either way, no matter what we do.
Stop typing in the comments. We didn't even say anything yet.
Exactly. Okay. I think Carnotaurus is a cool dinosaur. I think it's got a cool model. I think everything it does is cool. I think the only thing that ruins Carno is the balance and the fact that they put it in the game too early.
Yeah, that was like the first big carnivore, right?
Yes, and I think it was the wrong one to start with. I think Cerato, honestly, would have been a much better one to start with.
Yeah. I don't know, because Carno, I started playing Evrima when he was already released, so I can't really share my opinion from when he wasn't in the game.
No,
so I kind of grew up with it in the game, so I don't really... Yeah, he's just there. I've been there since he was there. I adjusted to him. Boom. I have nothing much to say. But I do gotta say, the balancing of him is all over the place.
It really is. But I think it has the potential to be pretty damn good. So
Yeah.
I struggle to put it in S tier because it doesn't really have like that like X factor for me. Like it's kind of just good. Like the same way that Allo is just good. And I think people will think this ranking is a little too nice to Carno, but I don't think there's actually anything wrong with it.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's solid. Especially with Cerato to balance it a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which,
speak of the devil.
I think the changes they've made to Cerato are small, but I think they go a long way.
Yeah. Like I am not really kept up with like the balance changes. I just play because I like to play. But
Yeah.
From what I know, from what Cerato can do, I think it's solid.
Yeah.
I like it.
Me too. I feel like there's not much you could do to really improve Cerato at this point. I'm sure we're gonna just have to see with more additions how well it does, but I think everything they've given it is perfect. Like I think it encapsulates exactly what they were going for, and I think in the same vein of Allo and Carno, it's just a good dinosaur.
Yeah, agreed. So straight into the A it goes.
Oh gosh, okay.
Oh boy, we have the non-dinosaur.
Yes. So, with elephant in the room aside, Dino is pretty good. I think. I think it's.
Oh, as a playable, very interesting. Yes.
Now, obviously, the fact that it was released as soon as it was as an Apex for some reason, we could just ignore that because it's not Dino's fault. So
yeah,
I think Dino is just good. However, I think there's also a few things that Dino could improve. I think for one, its design is very accurate looking. It's very safe, but it doesn't really have that aisle flair in my opinion.
Well, personally, I do think so.
That's fair. But I don't know. I guess I might just be
that's
searching
subjective,
for
I think,
critiques because like I don't know if I can put it on the same level as A tier, but I feel like B tier is way too harsh.
Yeah, indeed. So
Maybe we could just call it a low A tier.
let us just say high. Well, actually, maybe we can put it in B because it was released so early.
We could, but I kind of want to be like more objective than that because I just don't think that's fair to Dino because it's.
Yeah,
I think it's still fine.
Because if there's more apexes, I think it will be splendid.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll just
say
like low
let's just
A
put it in very low A.
Exactly. Okay, now we have Dibble.
Dibble, I crave him.
So Dibble is a menace, but in a good way. I feel like nobody has ever thought that Dibble was overpowered, really. It's just always been good, and I think it sets the benchmark for good designs in terms of capability and just like pure enjoyment. And I think the Evrima version kind of just improved what it could already do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The only strafing dinosaur so far, the one who can first spar, that I am so excited for it. Oh my god.
Me too. Now, I personally think from a gameplay standpoint, it'll be S tier. But I don't have too much to say about the design. What do you think about that?
Well, it certainly is a Diabloceratops.
That's true. Like, I feel like it certainly is just a Diabloceratops, but it's really not much else. And it's not really trying to be anything else, but it's just average.
Personally, I like it about that. I like it about him.
Yeah, that's fair. Although I will say, I think they tuned it a little bit for Evrima, and I think for the Legacy version, I would put it in A tier for its design. But since the gameplay is going to be S tier, and I think Evrima kind of improved its looks just a little bit, I think it's fair putting it in S.
Yep, just put it in there. No further questions.
Next up, we have our favorite venomous menace, Allosaurus.
Yes.
No.
I can still hear them to this very moment.
Yep.
They're everywhere. They're around me.
I think Dilo it makes me uncomfortable, and I think because it does that, it succeeds in its purpose.
Like when I first saw like its face when he got remodeled, I was like, ugh.
Yes.
Wait. Ugh.
Exactly. It's like I don't really play Dilo. I've never liked it all that much.
Yeah, same.
But I can see why people like it, and I can understand that its design is very much on purpose. And so I think for that, it's just an A tier. Like, I don't have a whole lot to say about Dilo, but it's just good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so now we get into the weeds a little bit, because Dryo is in the game, but it's not completed.
Correct. Because right now, it's, I'd say, F.
Yeah.
Right now,
exactly.
It is F.
So I feel like we have to treat it the way we are treating all of the unreleased playables, and that would be including what it could have. And I think with that, it could be average.
Yeah, because when it gets Burrow, I will play it a lot more. Just saying.
No, exactly. Me too. I think burrowing is really cool. I think Dryo is like fine. I think its redesign is kind of a downgrade a little bit.
Yeah. Like, it used to be very cute in Legacy from what I can remember, and now I look at it and think, is that a Dryo?
Look, I think
Can I be a baby again?
From like a design aspect, it's actually an improvement in like many ways, but it's just like the head shape for me just kind of gets rid of that cuteness that I really loved about Dryo.
The head looks so old.
It does, and I just feel like it could be A tier, but it's just not quite there. So I think it's sitting in a comfortable B tier.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. So next, the Gallimimus, also not completed.
No. I think from a gameplay perspective, Gally is obviously one of the most basic designs. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's fine. It feels pretty good to use, honestly. I think fighting with it is pretty fun. However, it does suffer from Jurassic Park syndrome. A little bit.
Personally, I don't see that.
That's fair. I just think I've kind of grown attached to feathered versions, and so
in that aspect,
I think as far as the featherless designs go, it's one of the best, and it's definitely unique enough to not just be called a ripoff, unlike some other Omniraptors. But it's just kind of whatever to me.
Yeah.
So I feel like B tier.
I think B is a solid place for it. Yeah.
Okay, this one's a divisive one, because half the people I talk to really like the redesign, and half the people I talk to absolutely hate it.
Yeah, personally, I'm one of the ones who just doesn't mind it. You know?
Yeah, me neither. I've just never been attached to Giga. I do think the old design looks better, but I don't think it's much worse. Like, I think it's just a slight downgrade, and I think people are kind of over-exaggerating it a little bit.
Yeah, personally, I just can't choose. They both look good, in my opinion.
That's fair. I think Giga's always been kind of, hated in Legacy, because it's never really had a place.
Bleed.
Exactly. But I do think the redesign looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of really giving it that Carcharodontosaurus playstyle with ripping off pieces of big sauropods that are mostly helpless to it. It just seems cool.
That is foreshadowing.
Yes. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think its overall design is, I don't know. I just don't care enough about it to really know if it should go in A or B tier. But I think its design from like just gameplay seems like a really, really good improvement. So I think it could go in A tier, honestly.
Personally, I think so too, because I also liked it more than T-Rex, in my opinion.
Yeah, me too. Okay, now we have Herrera. This is the dinosaur that I was the most
completely wrong about, and you should feel ashamed.
I do feel ashamed. Herrera, I thought, was going to be this useless, stupid, lanky little lizard, and it could not have proved me more wrong. It's
Yep.
probably the most fun I've had in Evrima is just playing as this guy. It has such a perfect niche that
Yeah.
came at the perfect time, I think. And its design is really unique. It still looks like a Herrerasaurus, but it's just way more interesting because unfortunately Herrerasaurus is just a very boring looking dinosaur, and I think they really fixed that.
Yeah. It's got the little flap under his neck.
Exactly.
I just want to slap it, just make it wobble around.
And yeah, I just feel like for me it would have been a C tier, but honestly, after playing it,
S.
I would
just
put it up here.
all the way.
I don't think there's anything else you could ask of a Herrerasaurus.
Yep. That's them. That's it right there.
Exactly. Now we take a turn with Hypsi. Oh gosh.
The feathery little fiend.
Yes. I personally really like the way it looks. I also like the way it plays. I think it's potentially the most useless creature in the game, but they gave it at least something to make it fun.
No growing.
Exactly. And just like the fact that you can eventually climb trees, you can go into little burrows, you can spit in their faces, like that's just like fun stuff to add to it, and I really appreciate that they put that in.
Personally, I like myself a jack of all trades.
Yeah, exactly. And I think although it's not really good at anything, so it doesn't quite warrant A tier, I don't think there's anything bad about it necessarily. Like, it's fighting a losing battle, but it did everything it could to try and win.
However, I do want to add, Hypsilophodon was the reason my friends got into the Isle. Purely because they thought it was cute.
That's quite interesting, actually.
So for me, it gets A, purely because of that.
That's fair. I would say that's fair to give it a low A, then.
Yeah.
That's totally valid. Okay, Quetz. Our favorite Transformer dinosaur, because for some reason they made the concept art an arc steel, but you know. Quetz, from like a design standpoint, I think looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks very aerodynamic in a weird way.
Yeah,
but it works. Yeah, personally.
And I don't think there's anything cooler than being able to just fly around and just drop on some unsuspecting victim and just skewer them. Like, I just think that would be so much fun.
Yeah, that they just see your shadow that suddenly like stops. Just becomes bigger and bigger.
Exactly. And I think the obviously the stamina changes hurt Pteranodon a lot, but I think the way it feels is actually quite nice. And I think if there's anything that Afterthought knows how to do, it's momentum. And because Quetz is so big, I think it'll feel amazing to play.
First, I'd say I can't decide between S and A.
Yeah, the only thing I have against it, honestly, is I think it might be a little too good.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I can't decide, because it is big.
It is. I feel like it's safe to sit in A tier for now, and then maybe we'll come back to it in 15 million years when it releases, and we might move it up or down.
Yeah, maybe one of my grandchildren will make the video with yours.
Oh gosh, why is it unfortunately kind of accurate?
Oh
boy. Okay.
Please don't let it be accurate.
For real. Next up, we have our beloved pincushion.
Oh yes, the replacement for official servers.
Yes. So, I like Kentro. I think it's fine. I think it's cute. But
so do I.
I think they could mess it up very easily.
Do elaborate.
So the idea of making it a bleeder is good. But because it's so small, I don't think it'll even be able to take a few hits from something that could catch it. And I think it would be hard to balance Kentro in the aspect of Carnotaurus and Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus should be more than capable of 1v1ing it, but they're so much more capable of running after it. So I think it's a fair 1v1, but Kentro has to fight it, and the carnivores don't. So I think in that sense, it gets bumped down a little bit for me.
Yeah, and it's also like, personally, what I'm a little afraid of is the backside, because it's hard to balance it out with, should we like keep it the same damage, maybe add a little shield to it, make it invulnerable? It really has all of its issues.
Yeah. So I think I'm really excited for it, but I don't think it quite gets an A tier for me.
Yeah. It'll be good as a Stego replacement, though. I'm very sure of it, because Stego is just invulnerable.
Okay, now we have possibly the most controversial design of the entire roster.
Oh boy, it's the dino that makes you sick.
Yep. So, okay, I made a video a while back, and in that video, I said Maggie is essentially useless, but it could be one of the coolest semi-aquatics.
Wait, what?
So basically what I thought is just scrap everything that Maggie has going for it, because it has nothing going for it, and turn it into a semi-aquatic, so that it can swim away from land predators, and it could, I think, capably get away from anything else that's semi-aquatic and bigger than it. So I think Maggie would be kind of like the herbivorous equivalent of Baryonyx in terms of its size and weight. And I think if you just had some kind of semi-aquatic herbivore that was larger than a chicken, that could just kind of swim around, get like, you know, weeds and stuff from the river, but then still fight off stuff if it needs to, I think that could be cool. But unfortunately, that's not what they're doing. And it's gonna get clapped by every single mid-tier in the game.
Yeah, because like, you've kind of struck gold with that concept of yours, because Maggie was actually a resident of Madagascar.
Yes.
So maybe it would be a fun idea to let it be able to swim across the ocean of Evrima towards that set of unpopulated islands there.
Exactly, that's an idea.
Yeah. I like what you're going for, but what the devs are going for, yeesh.
Exactly. I think Maggie could be an A tier, but it's an F tier.
Yeah. just making you sick from eating it is not gonna cut it.
Exactly. And I wanted to make that huge tangent because I'm not just your average Maggie hater. I want it so badly to be good. I love its design. I think it has one of the coolest designs in the entire game. But it's just so incredibly useless and flawed from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, it's... I want to like it, but...
You just unfortunately can't. So,
yeah,
that's that. Next up, we have a kind of the opposite end, just a very average people. Everybody likes Maya.
Yeah, the good mother.
Exactly. I think there's not even much that needs to be said about it. It's just an A tier.
It's just good. That's a dinosaur.
Exactly.
That's a dinosaur.
Exactly. Okay, next up we have Megalania, which is... What do you think of its design?
Personally, I like it. Don't know what the bump is for, but I like it.
That's fair. I don't have much to say about it, honestly. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's like whatever. I think it's a kind of a natural evolution from the realistic version to the Isle version. And I don't think it translates perfectly. But I think it has the potential to be pretty good if they make it somewhat semi-aquatic. Like, I think if it was exactly how it was in Path of Titans, it would be like a solid A tier.
Oh yeah, Path of Titans really did that one justice.
Yeah, it really did. I don't know though, because we don't have a lot of information on Megalania, and I have a feeling that they're not actually going to make it good. I think they might think it's gonna be crazy good on land, killing all the juvies and stuff, which is like whatever. But I don't know. I'm afraid for it.
It's hard to rate.
Yeah.
I'm struggling between A and B.
Yeah, I think it's safer to put it in B tier, but I think it could be A tier for sure.
Oh yeah.
Definitely has potential.
Who's up next? Oh, look who's next.
Look who's next, little cutie.
Okay.
So, Minmi, if you haven't seen my Minmi video...
I have seen it.
Of course. Thank you. I
Put it in S right now.
Yes.
No questions.
Minmi is an S tier dinosaur because it is the perfect tutorial dinosaur. It is nothing else, but it is that, and something on the roster has to be. So I think we can give it to Minmi. Basically just
like I said, I love myself a jack of all trades.
Exactly. So just to summarize my video, for those of you who are like, what the hell are you doing, putting that in S tier, Minmi is semi-aquatic, so it unlocks that niche right away. It's herbivorous, so you don't have to immediately be punished by the carnivore system. It's very safe. It can burrow, which is another cool mechanic that you immediately get introduced to. It can dig into the ground and basically become a rock, which is super cool. And it's adorable.
Look at the little eyes. Oh, look at it.
Yes, and it'll grow quickly. So there's nothing really going for it, but there's also nothing not going for it, and it is the most versatile thing in the game. And obviously that's because they were just struggling to, make it usable. But I think in doing so, they created the perfect tutorial dinosaur, and I've got nothing against it.
For beginner players.
I also think it's one of the best designs ever.
Yeah. It's so cute, I can't get over it.
Okay, Oviraptor. I don't have a lot to say about Oviraptor. I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's cool. I think it's just an A tier. Like, I don't have anything against it.
Yeah, personally, I do like it. However, the visual look of it for me is... there's something wrong about it for me.
That's fair. I quite like it.
It looks odd.
I think it's odd, but in a good way. And I can see how it might not translate for other people, but I personally think it's fine. I think it's
I can agree with you on that. I can see why you think that. But personally, I am way too much attached to the Primal Carnage one.
Oh, that's totally fair. I do think that was a much better looking Ovi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Pachy is...
Bonehead 2.0.
Yes. It has a good thing going for it, but when it was translated into the game, it was immediately worthless. Which is quite unfortunate, because it could be good.
Yeah.
But it can't tank enough. It can't run enough. Its abilities are fine. Its design is pretty good.
It's just awkward to play.
It is. And that's the unfortunate thing with Pachy is, even though it's a really cool and unique dinosaur and they did something really cool with it, it just doesn't translate very well into the game and just the gameplay of it. And it feels too heavy to move how you need it to. And unfortunately, because we have dinosaurs like Carnotaurus, it just gets completely outclassed.
Yeah. Like, do you know sloth bears by any chance?
I do.
Yeah, those overly aggressive bears because they want to hide the fact that they actually suck. Maybe that's why Pachy players are so overly aggressive.
That might be it.
They don't want to show their weakness.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So yeah, I'd say C.
I would honestly say it's B tier. I think C is too mean because because
I do still like Pachy itself.
Because I would say S tier is perfect, A tier is just good from every perspective. B tier, either the design or the gameplay is flawed, and I think C tier is where they're both flawed. But I think Pachy is still passable in both, so I feel like it's just an average B tier.
Yeah, let's just say B tier. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Oh,
Para.
Parasaurolophus.
He's everybody's favorite meal.
Punching bag.
Pretty much. Para gets absolutely bullied by the devs for no reason. Because
I mean, not just by the devs, by media in general.
That's true. It is such a cool dinosaur. And I think they will actually do a good job with it. It's just unfortunate that the advertising for it is so unbelievably trash.
Yeah. Like, I am very sure that it'll be able to stand up for itself in game when it actually releases, but they're sure not showing that.
Yeah, not at all. I think personally, we don't have a whole lot on Para because all we ever see it doing is tending to a nest or getting eaten, but I think it will be A tier.
Yeah. I am also looking forward to that sonic roar.
Oh yeah, it'll be super cool. Okay.
We were speaking about this one earlier.
Okay, so obviously, as we were saying, it's just a better Ava. But is it B tier better or is it A tier better?
Well, I like the fact that it can drink ocean water, personally.
I think that's cool. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, we don't want to have ocean dinosaurs. That's lame. But I don't think so. I think it's a niche.
It's not an ocean dinosaur. If it was an ocean dinosaur, it would have gills and fins.
Very true. It would actually be a proto-shark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good. I don't think it could really be any better. I think what they did with it was perfect.
Yeah.
So it's not quite S tier for me because there's so much competition in the Ceratopsian niche, especially the small tiers.
Very true.
But I think it's just an A tier. I think it's just good.
Yep, I just love the look of it. I love that little guy.
Me too. And honestly, I just made a video like a month ago or two talking about how I'd fix the Ceratopsian roster. And I picked Ava over Proto, but I've very much changed my mind about that actually.
Yeah. Because, come on.
It just looks so good too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Taco. Okay, Taco. It's hard to rank Taco on here because it is never going to be.
Is it even a playable?
No.
No, it isn't, right?
I don't think so.
No, I'm pretty sure that it's just going to be AI.
Yes, but let's just have some fun and say if it wasn't playable.
But let's just imagine a perfect world.
I think it would be honestly just a B tier.
Yeah, because it is very slow. I am very much aware of that.
Yes, but I think it could
be able to be catchable.
Like, I think if they actually tried to make it a playable, they could make it burrow, or it could be like a burrow stealer. It could maybe be a little more feisty than its size, like a little something.
Yeah.
But
also something I would like to point out: those little spikes / hairs on his tail could maybe activate as self-defense. Just saying.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I think Taco is just whatever. It's fantastic AI.
It's fantastic food.
Exactly. So yeah, I think B tier is what it deserves. Next up, I don't know why, but Pteranodon's design is very controversial, and I don't know what that's about.
Honestly, I don't see it. I just see a bird. That's Pteranodon right there.
I think it's quite possibly the most generic Pteranodon design of all time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know how much else you could change it. I mean, you could take the Primal Carnage one. Ooh, I like Primal Carnage, actually. That's a cool Pteranodon design, but it doesn't scream that, in my opinion.
No.
This, I can see as a Pteranodon.
I like the way it plays. I think skimming on the surface feels really good.
Oh, yeah, I like that part of it, yeah.
I think the flying feels really good. Obviously, other than the stamina, but
exactly,
to really judge it by. So I've got nothing against
stamina.
I think it's great ambience.
Stamina.
It makes really cool sounds, and seeing it fly around just really adds a lot.
It adds to the immersion, in my opinion.
Exactly. So I think for that, it's A tier.
Yeah. If they fix that god-awful stamina, it's definitely there.
Exactly. I know Scanova had a problem with it. I can't quite remember what he said, but
Wasn't it like the way it runs to take off?
I don't know. I think it's fine. Like, I just think it's not very divisive. You know?
You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah. But yeah. T-Rex.
T-Rex, the big boy.
Exactly. Potentially the most important one. In terms of
you can't really ruin T-Rex, in my opinion. But, I mean, of course you can, but look-wise, everyone's gonna know it's a T-Rex if it has 2 fingers.
Yeah. Some people say the Rex is just stolen from Jurassic Park, and I will give you credit for the one call, but other than that, I think it's quite unique, actually.
Yeah, it looks original, and it still looks paleo-accurate.
Yes.
And, yeah.
I think it's just a good design, just overall.
It is.
I really like what it's supposed to do. I like the idea of it kind of like breaking through the human defenses, even if that is a balance nightmare. I still think it's cool.
Yeah, like I can already imagine I'm some sort of little bugger just sitting on a crate. I just see something run by, wondering where it's going, and then I just see a T-Rex crashing through the fence with a thunder blast in the back. And, it's gonna be so cool.
Exactly, and I'm gonna be fully honest here. I do not like T-Rex. I hate how popular it is, and it drives me up a wall. But you cannot deny the fact that T-Rex is a very cool dinosaur, and that the Isle devs did a very good job with it.
Oh yeah.
So I think. Do you think it could be S tier? Do you think it deserves that spot?
Well, from what I've seen and from what I think about T-Rex as a whole, yeah, I think S.
Fair. Because I think its design is on par with A tier, but I think just the fact that it can do what everyone wants their T-Rex to be able to do is just huge.
Yep.
So yeah.
And it's T-Rex.
Exactly.
It's T-Rex.
Okay, now we go to potentially the most
the human
useless. Okay, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just painfully average.
Yeah.
I think its design is whatever. Its gameplay is gonna be whatever.
It can jump over logs. Ooh, wow.
Yeah. I think people get a little too crazy about saying, "Oh, it's gonna be trash." It's not gonna be trash. It's just gonna be average.
Nothing is gonna be trash, in my opinion, except
not
Maggie.
Much, yeah. So it's just. I think it's just a B tier, honestly. Like it doesn't really say anything. It doesn't really do anything, but it's fine. It's not a.
It certainly is a carnivorous theropod.
Exactly, and I think it's human-eating niche, although it's not really a niche because anything that is the same size as it can do the exact same thing, probably better. But it's just it can do that, so it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have Shant.
The Shant, the biggest boy.
Now I know a lot of people don't really like the design of it, but I think it's fine. I don't really love it.
I like it.
It's like whatever. I think the old Shant was a very boring design, and I think they've definitely made it more interesting.
Yeah, because for me, Shant was very forgettable.
Yes.
Like every time I saw a Shant in Legacy, I was like, oh cool, those things exist.
Exactly.
And if I walk away from it, I immediately forget it. So.
And full honesty, I have never played Shant in my life.
Oh, me neither.
Because it's just so uninteresting. And I think does it even have a concept art?
I think it does, yeah.
Let me Google this really quick, because I don't even know what it's supposed to do, or if it's going to be any.
It's going to be big.
Yes, that is true.
His niche is being big.
Okay, so in its concept, it's kind of just pushing things over, stomping on dudes, killing dudes, fighting dudes.
So being big.
Being big, and you know what?
Big boy.
That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Good on it.
Yep. I think it's A.
Me too.
It's good at being big.
It is. Oh gosh. Okay, people are gonna hate us.
Oh, the Spino. Oh, this is another controversial one. I think.
Yes.
Was it?
It is very controversial. So, people don't like the redesign, and I do not know why. Because I think it is the coolest freaking thing ever.
I love it. Like,
it's so awesome.
It's so cool looking.
It is, and I think Spino is going to be one of the most fun apexes, and I think the only issue I have with it is that it's going to be too good. Because I think other people think it's so super cool, and they're going to make it a little too super cool.
Yeah. And it's not Barry.
No. And the fact that it can murk a dino, just like without even thinking, is worrisome.
Yeah.
So
the dino population is gonna plummet.
Yes. But so I think S tier would be too good for it from just like a balancing perspective, and the fact that they're making it just able to do everything. But I think it is a very, very good A tier.
Oh yeah. Like, if they can balance it, it's a big S. Big S.
Yeah. Like, gosh, it looks
so cool. But for now, let's keep it in A. It does look awesome.
Okay. Stego. Our favorite
Stego, the bane of everyone's existence.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Stego is boring. It's there's nothing you can really do with Stego, unfortunately. But it's just
Look, if something bigger gets added into the game, like Allo, I think it would be much better, because then it actually has something to worry about. But yeah, I gotta agree, every time one of my friends who really likes Stego wants to play as it, I'm like, no, please.
Exactly. And I don't want to let my bias get to me, because I just don't like playing as slow-moving herbivores like that. But I just think it feels kind of clunky to use the tail, in my opinion.
Well, I haven't played enough to have a good opinion on it, so
that's fair.
I'd say a solid B.
Yeah,
it's fine if other things get added, but right now it's unbalanced as.
Exactly.
Makes me angry that it's there.
Yeah, but yeah, just like in a vacuum, it's very inoffensive.
Yeah.
Okay,
Next
Tanato.
up, the first ever playable.
Yes, Tanato is actually one of my favorites, and that's honestly, I think I've played mostly Tanato and Evrima.
Yeah, personally, I don't play it as much because it has so much it can do that it feels overwhelming for my ADHD brain. But I do see why everyone likes it. I like the design of it. It is overall very good.
Yeah, I think it also was a very important addition in that it kind of proved that you can make a medium herbivore that can like go quickly also be fun to use. Yeah. Because there's a balance they struck between being able to just mostly get away, but then also being able to turn and fight if it needs to. And I think Legacy didn't really have anything that was like that, other than maybe like Maya and Dibble. So honestly, I think Tanato does everything you need it to be and more.
Yep, I think it's S.
Me too. And I also think the design of it is very, very cool looking.
Yeah.
Okay, Suko.
The less superior version of Barry.
Yes. So Suko is an unfortunate victim of roster bloat, in my opinion. Because even though it was before Barry, it's kind of in this weird place now. Now that they've like actually fully developed a large tier, which I think is a mistake. Because for the most of a Suko's life, it is going to be a Baryonyx.
But chunk.
Yes, and then once it is no longer a Baryonyx, it is a Spinosaurus, but a juvenile.
Yeah.
So Suko never really has its own place, I don't think.
Like, personally, what I think about it is, if I want to be a pelican, I'd rather not be it in a dinosaur game.
Exactly. And I do think it's cool. I like the idea of being able to like carry your babies in your mouth and stuff.
And water. That too.
But it doesn't really fit anywhere, I don't think. And so I think it's a fine playable, but it just doesn't stand out to me in any way.
Yeah. It also has, I think it had the ability to carry multiple corpses at once. But in my opinion, that's something everyone should be able to do.
Now, I guess the question we should ask is, does the impact of the roster affect where we rank it?
Well, to be fair, none of the dinosaurs we have covered so far have had that, so we shouldn't give it to Zuko either. Let's just painfully imagine that Barry does not exist.
Yes. So I think in that case, it's just it's good. Like, it's good. I don't personally love the design, but I know a lot of people do, so I'm not gonna discount it for that.
Yeah, I just like Barry more.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's good.
He does not exist.
Yes. So next we have Theory. I personally
Tickle chicken.
hate the redesign. I think it looked really like lopsided, and it's also, I'm just really tired of that specific design because so many games
Fluffy
have
bottom.
had that fluffy butt Therizinosaurus. And although they did something cool with it, kind of like where the young can like kind of hide in it, I don't think that'll actually mean anything, because you can kind of do that with any dinosaur, really.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
And
Unless it actually causes the babies to be invulnerable.
that's true. If that was the case, that would be pretty good.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if it's just a normal tail, I mean, they're just gonna bite your tail anyways. Because the thing is, they're not gonna want to attack you at the front, so you are going to get
absolutely
attacked
not.
from behind. So why would you put your babies there? So it's just like, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's
I think
I do love Fairy as a whole, so I love how violent it is. But I actually want to be violent on something if
Yeah.
it actually comes my way. So
That's fair. So I don't know. I don't personally have a lot to say about Theory, and I think I'm a little too biased to rank it because I don't like the design. So where would you
I'll
put
rank it for you. B.
Got it. That's where I would have put it. Okay, Trike.
Triceratops. Ooh. Personally, I like it.
I like Trike. I think its design has always
it's a tri-
been pretty good. Its gameplay.
It's a Triceratops.
Yeah, its gameplay has been kind of mid, but I think with what they're doing with Dibble, gives me a lot of hope for Trike.
I really want to spar with Trike.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think it'll be really good, and even though it sucked in Legacy, I think it'll be a very solid A tier.
Yeah. Oh, I also heard from one of the devs, or something I can't remember, that Trike will be able to spar with Tyrannosaurus.
That would be so sick.
Yeah, I can already imagine T-Rex grabbing onto one of his horns and that they then get in a little tug of war, you know?
That'd be so neat. I'd love that.
Oh yeah, I really want to see that.
Yes. Okay.
Troodon.
Okay, Troodon, again, in a vacuum, is fine, because it can, its venom is very lackluster, but it still does a good job at, like, helping it take things down. I do like how it works. Like, I think it's a pretty interesting ability, and I think its skill curve is pretty high, especially for a small tier. I think its design is overly hated. I think it's whatever. Like, I personally would prefer a feathered version, but I really like this version.
Yeah, I really like what they did with it. It's a very slender, very thin Velociraptor, actually.
Exactly.
But
And
that's what I like about it.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, well, it's just a ripoff from Jurassic Park the game. First of all, it's not. The only thing that is even remotely similar is its eyes. And that's just how the Isle works. Like, it just makes designs different. And so I think...
And what I also have been hearing was, oh, but Troodon doesn't exist anymore. So...
The thing is, I hate that argument, because yes, it does. It's just not named Troodon. They can always rename the dinosaur. This is it's like Oviraptor. Like, sure, it's not a real thing, and I don't like that it's not a real thing, but it is still based on bones that exist.
But Oviraptor was created by the developers.
Yes.
Not Troodon wasn't.
Exactly.
He was disqualified from being a dinosaur.
Yeah, so I think Troodon is overly hated. It is unfortunate that it is so tiny, because Troodon is going to be useless since its launch. It was only ever going to be useful for the first week, because that was the only time where you'd ever have enough people to help you take something down. But in a perfect world, where you can have as many Troodon little pack mates as you can, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be very biased because I do like playing Troodon a lot because I just like being a little rat that just scurries around eating people's corpses. Like, I'm just very sad that I never find any packmates.
Yeah.
And when I do find them, they're so stupid to attack something on their own.
Exactly. So, I think if the Isle had more Troodon players, it would be A tier. But I think it's fair to judge it based on its handicap of needing more players. So I think it's fair to put in B tier.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
Okay.
Alright, the last two. We'll ignore the rest because then we'll have to recite the whole video again.
Exactly. Okay. So, this is a tough one for me. I don't like the way it looks because I think it looks too similar to Jurassic Park Raptor. I absolutely despise the fact that they just ripped the sounds from Jurassic Park. But
yeah, personally, I was never bothered by it. I personally like it the way that it is.
Yeah.
But I can see why people think that. So
I do think it's evolved enough to not be called a direct ripoff. I think its gameplay is, although buggy, from a like fundamental aspect, like it's fine.
yeah,
I don't think it's anything great. It doesn't feel great.
I
to
was-
me, but
I always like in Legacy. I always dreamed of being able to pounce things. You
Yeah.
know. So when I heard that Omniraptor, or at the time the Utahraptor, was gonna be able to pounce things, I was overjoyed actually. So
exactly. And
yeah.
so I would prefer if we had just Utahraptor. I know they plan on having both. I think that's unnecessary. I think it'll be
Yeah,
impossible to
they're
balance
basically the same thing.
You might as well just add one. Like, you might as well just add the Utahraptor as a skin. I don't know why they haven't thought of that. It's just stupid easy way to fix it.
Like maybe make like a C pattern that just gives you feathers.
Yep, exactly. Like, there you go, fixed. But yeah, I think for me personally, its design brings it down a bit. Its gameplay is just kind of average. But I don't think it deserves to be in C tier. Like, I think it's just a
No,
B.
absolutely not.
But what do you
Because I do still see plenty of them in the field. So.
Yes. People do play them for a reason, for sure.
Yeah.
Would you put them in A tier?
I want to say yes, but no.
Okay, then B tier it sits. We've got one more guy.
The very last one.
Potentially,
excluding the other ones.
yes, potentially the second most useless creature in the game.
Why was this even considered a playable?
I have no idea. I don't even know if it is anymore.
It's just Troodon without venom.
It's just bad. It's even
It's just
smaller.
bad.
So,
like, yeah, no.
and they haven't
that's F.
redesigned it either.
Yeah, it's
its old
just a
design is
Velociraptor.
ugly as hell. It's just boring.
Yeah.
Even if they redesigned it, even if they made it some mini pouncing thingy, it'll still be useless as shit. So F tier.
Yep, just put it. Oh no!
And don't worry, we're keeping Meg at the very bottom because that's what it deserves, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I think that's
That's
pretty
all
good
of them.
ranking right there. Pretty solid.
Yeah. I think that's very solid looking.
Now, I want to do one more fun little thingy to make this more interesting and unique video.
All right.
If you could, what dinosaur would you add to the game, and what would you
Concavenator.
have it do?
Swim in the ground.
Shark.
Okay. I'm gonna actually think about it now. I really like Concavenator. I love it. I love the little bump on his back.
Yeah.
I want it in the game ASAP. But what I actually wanted to do, you know, if they made the bump like a camel, right? So like 2 bumps. I wanted to be able to store food there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so you can grab it in your mouth, then you can like unnaturally bend your spine to put that food onto your back,
Of course.
and then you can like fight things while that's still carried around.
That's actually a really cool idea. I actually quite like that.
Yeah.
And it'd be like pretty speedy, so it would
Yeah.
be quite different.
It's
from
still
other-
rather small, so
Yeah. I think it'd be more than capable of fighting an Oviraptor. Like, I think it would take 2 to, like, safely take on a Concavenator.
And it absolutely is not able to be pounced.
No.
Like, pinned to the ground, you know?
Yeah, which is also,
If that's the case, I'm not playing it. No, just kidding, I will play it.
That's funny. Yeah, so, me personally, I would add...
What do you want?
I would add a Ceratosaurus. And...
What now?
So, you know Tyrannosaurus, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's basically just Tyrannosaurus, but it has a head crest, so I think it's cooler.
Oh, yeah, okay. But
so,
what would it be able to do? What would the crest do, is what I'm
So
thinking.
basically, Ceratosaurus is a very middle-of-the-road carnivore. It's about...
Yeah.
It's a little bigger than Allo, probably, but it would probably weigh a little bit less. So, I envision it being a bit of a glass cannon, but I think it'd be neat if we had a kind of like Giga, but it was a little more extreme. And what I mean by that is you get a pack of Ceratosaurus together, and they grab onto something and don't let go.
Oh, okay,
and
okay.
What they would do is essentially just drag you. So, because it's a glass cannon, it can't take many hits. But, because it's got the power to kind of just like, kind of rip you around, it could disable your weapons, could disable like your tail attacks and stuff like that. And if you had enough of them, you would just be completely disarmed, and then you could just be killed. Kind of like a pack of wolves almost. I think that would be a neat gameplay, and it is kind of similar to Allo in the way that Allo just pounces on something, but it kind of takes it a step further.
Yeah.
I think that might be fun. But yeah.
Just for the sake of it, you see those extra Acrocanthosaurus and Albertosaurus down there?
Yes.
Let's just say your whatever it was called is the Acro, and my Concavenator is the Alberto, real quick.
Got it.
So, what do we rate Concavenator?
Okay. I think it could be a low A tier, because I think it's got a cool utility. I think it could be interesting. But the only reason it'd be a low A tier is because
it won't be able to do much.
Yeah, basically. And I think Carno might be an issue for it a little bit, so that's probably where I'd put it.
Yeah, exactly. So, how do I rank your... to be able to rip and tear until it's done, I think that's a very solid mechanic, but I fear what the community is gonna think of it.
That's totally fair.
Because they love complaining. So
are we thinking B tier?
I'm gonna keep it safe and put it in A.
All right.
Don't be harsh on it. Come on now.
Alrighty. So yeah, that's our tier list.
Yep.
Feel free to put a green screen kid reaction video.
We love those.
Of course.
And be sure to put your own opinions in the comments below.
Yes.
But please keep it to yourself if it has any curse words of any kind.
Exactly. Unless it's for comedic value, then I'll allow it.
Unless it's comedic. Yes. If it's aimed towards us and telling us to jump off a bridge with a lot of bricks on the bottom, no, please don't.
And again, if it's creative, I'll let it slide.
Don't know if YouTube will let it slide, but hey.
It's alright. It's not like I get any money from him anyways, so... Yep, so that's our tier list. Thank you for joining us on this adventure.
Who are you talking to, the viewers or me?
It was directed at you, but I guess I could address the viewers for also coming along.
Yes, thank you so much for watching this video, and it's been a pleasure to be able to do this with you.
Yes, and look out for more collaborations soon, potentially, hopefully. TBD. Alright, so yeah. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, bro.